And I just was, as a child and teenager, just completely unable to process these experiences until the 1980s, when I was in my late 20s or early 30s and was able to connect the dot and realize that all these experiences were part of what I thought was a fairly lengthy interaction with a very specific group of non-human beings.
And the weirdest thing is that for years and years and years and years after the event, right up until my late 20s, early 30s, I totally forgot about it. I didn't even know this experience had happened.
When I was in my late 20s or early 30s and was able to connect the dot, connect the dot, connect the dot, connect the dot.
So I've got the shelter set up for tonight. It's only a tarp, a little fire pit, and yeah, it's going to do. It's going to be quite a nice night. I'm excited. It's really, really warm, to say that it's overcast. I don't know if that's having some kind of a global warming effect where it's trapping all the heat in, but yeah, it's extremely humid. And I'm just heading back to the old camp to grab my blanket, and I'll lay that down on the floor, and that's me for the night. I can go out into this forest and film for you guys. So I'm back here at the shelter. As you can see, everything is still standing, and yeah, that's brilliant. Everything is exactly where I left it. So I'm going to relocate this shelter at some point. I'm going to put it somewhere else. It's always nice to keep moving around, dismantle all this, let nature take back over for a while, and then set up somewhere else. And I enjoy the process. It's fun doing it. So yeah, there are a few things that I wasn't keen on about this area, and that is that sometimes it can get really dark, and for filming, you know, you've only got till 3-4 o'clock sometimes in the winter months, even before then, and then it gets completely unworkable. So ideally I would like to be somewhere a bit more scenic, near some water, and in an area that produces a lot more light. But I can't complain. The shelter is still standing. No one has been here, and I haven't been here for well over 6 months now. Is Lily giving me a hand? You helping me break the wood up? Good girl. So I've just decided to sit on this hill for 5 minutes and take a quick break, talk to you guys about some things that are flying around in my head. Behind the camera, where you guys can't see unfortunately while I'm talking, is a beautiful, picturesque scene. You can no doubt hear the running water. That is the stream cutting through this valley right through the middle. And the valley itself is hidden away by all this green, vibrant vegetation that's sprouting up from the ground. Now that greenery is broken up here, there and everywhere by the occasional pine tree. It's just absolutely beautiful. And as I'm sitting here looking at this scenery, it's really, really easy to start thinking about how beautiful it is. And you can quickly forget about how weird this place is. Because if you have no prior interest in UFOs, the paranormal or cryptids or anything like that, if you have no prior interest and you come to a place like this, you likely won't go away and think there's any need to investigate further, because there's no signs of that here. But trust me, once you do, once you've heard a story of something mysterious happening in these national parks where you visited, and you go home and you log onto your computer and you take the dive down the rabbit hole, so to speak, in trying to find out more, it's a very hard rabbit hole to climb back out of, because it makes no sense. The picturesque view that I'm seeing right now does not scream high strangeness, but I know 100% that it takes place in this very location. If I brought you here right now and sat you at the side of me and said, wow, just look out at how beautiful this place is, what do you think? You would say, oh my God, it's absolutely stunning, so peaceful, so calm. If I then followed that up with that people have been mutilated here, 7 bodies have been found with their tongues removed, their hair removed, blood drained from their body, would you then think of this place in the same way? Probably not. I don't think most people would. You'd then want to find out why that happened, who did it, and is there anything else going on similar? And when you take that line of questioning, you'll find very quickly that there is. But not just in this national park, in most national parks all around the world. What it is about them that attracts weird things, that is the $1 million question, right? We all want to know that. One thing for sure though is if you venture away from the national parks, the further you get, the less and less frequent these mysterious happenings take place, which essentially means that the national parks themselves are kind of like the hub, the epicenter for weird reports. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something that I've started to really understand and come to the conclusion of. Some people might like this, some people might not like this, some people might be on the fence. Whenever you start out, if you're a cryptid fan, if you're a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch guy or girl, there are a lot of people here in the UK that want to believe these things are flesh and blood. They want to believe that there is some kind of a hominid, a cryptid type creature that's undiscovered roaming the English countryside. I set out on that very path. Why? Because that was the stories that I was hearing when I got interested in this phenomena. I was hearing tales and experiences coming in from people that saw what they reported as a hairy being. So my initial line of thought was that it must be an undiscovered creature, like everybody thinks. But I can honestly tell you this right now. Keep going with that line of thought. Get out into these areas where reports are coming in. Spend nights here on your own or with whoever you wish. And you will soon see, if you follow the breadcrumbs long enough, that at the end, you have to introduce an extraterrestrial element. You have to. It doesn't make sense if you don't. Nothing weighs up, nothing balances if you don't add that one ingredient. When we're talking about an undiscovered creature that can talk telepathically, it makes no sense. When we're talking about a flesh and blood creature that can vanish, and I'm not talking, disappears behind shrubbery and off up a hill. I'm talking vanish. I'm talking 1 minute you saw it there, the very next minute it's gone. That doesn't make sense if we're talking about a flesh and blood creature. And if you do this for long enough, like I said, you will be left with no choice but to start entertaining the extraterrestrial idea. And one thing I'm finding really fascinating at the minute is that most investigators, most other people out here, boots on the ground, doing what I do, have come to the same conclusion. I'm a very good friend of Justin from Mountain Beast Mysteries. Highly recommend Justin's channel. Great guy, we share a lot in common. And we talk frequently about these subjects. And it's interesting now to see as well that Justin is also coming to that conclusion. You know, Justin set out just like I did, thinking that this may be a flesh and blood creature, an undiscovered hominid. And now he's introducing the extraterrestrial element. As I've said, you follow the breadcrumbs for long enough, you have to. You have to. Lights flying off at the scene of a cryptid sighting. People reporting that the atmosphere or the pressure around at the time of sighting was like their ears had popped on a plane. Everything was dead quiet. Their head felt like it was going to explode because of the pressure. Doesn't make sense if it's a flesh and blood creature. We can go on and on and on and on. Eventually, you'll see for yourself. The only way you'll get to that conclusion, though, is if you're out in these areas, doing the boots on the ground, investigating. There you go. Hi. You been for a run? That's the only way you'll do it. That's the only way you'll come to this conclusion. Now, I'm not ruling out that it could be flesh and blood, but if it is, it's like no other flesh and blood creature I've ever seen in a zoo. It's like no other flesh and blood creature we've ever experienced here on this planet. It's got abilities that defy explanation, defy logic. So you make of that what you will, guys. The rain has just started to come down now, which is probably why Lil's made her way back. I'm going to venture off some more and take shelter from this rain.
When I first got into the subject, I tended to follow the idea that it was a flesh and blood primate, you know, like an actual animal or being of some kind of this earth that is here naturally. I was worried about what people would think of me, you know, if I dabbled in the taboo ideas. However, as time went on, I started to care less and less. Obviously, you just get used to criticism and whatnot, and used to not giving crap about what people think of you. I also had a few experiences that led me to believe that there is, you know, potentially an element of either the supernatural or, you know, even it being something from another world or another dimension. We found what looked like Sasquatch tracks, and we had something large bluff charge us really, really close in the dark, but we couldn't see it. We couldn't see it.
I've done a lot of walking today. A hell of a lot of walking. There's ticks everywhere. Like literally everywhere. I've had to pull 2 out of my skin already, but tried to embed into my hands. Lily will have to. The thing with Lily is you're never going to find the ticks in her fur. What I usually do is wait for a day or two, and then I comb through her till they've grown in size, and then I've got tick keys and I just get them out, because yeah, there's nothing you can do when they're as small as the ones I'm finding. So that's just the nature of the beast. It's about being out here. It's what you get when you start putting yourself in and amongst nature. You have to literally take on what it offers, and unfortunately ticks are a horrible part of that. I was just thinking of the Travis Walton case as I was walking through all these pine trees here, and not so much thinking about the abduction itself, but more the fact that they brought him back, but not to the place where they took him from. And it made me think, like, you know, I started thinking that must have been like really, really creepy. Can you imagine being at work in this kind of environment and an incident like that unfolds? We can't even begin to imagine what his heart rate would have been doing at that point. The fear factor would have been through the roof. It would have been insane. Terrifying, beyond terrifying, to experience what he went through. And yeah, like I said, they didn't drop him off back in the woods, because that would have been creepy as well, right? Like, you turn back up in the woods, terrified after your ordeal. It's dark, your friends are no longer there, and you're left to walk down the mountainside again on your own. That'd have been creepy. But they dropped him off at the side of the road. They dropped him off at the side of the road. You know, they didn't drop him off in the forest where he would struggle to walk, make his way back down in the dark. They dropped him off at the side of the road. If you wanted to be dropped off anywhere, it would be at the side of the road, right? Where you could just make your way back to the nearest town. That shows a level of human understanding, empathy, compassion. These are all very human traits. What's interesting as I'm thinking down that line of thought is that Travis actually mentioned that he saw humans, or something that resembled a human, aboard the craft. There's been speculation for many years that humans have some kind of a pact, some kind of a deal going on with these extraterrestrials, because they're seen and they're mentioned in many abduction stories. So yeah, who knows? Was it a human, or was it a hybrid? Was it something that looked like a human but not quite there? I don't know. I really like to look at those small details of the event. Sometimes things that people don't usually pay attention to. Everyone concentrates on the actual abduction of where he was taken from. I'm interested in where he was dropped off. Why was he dropped off there? What was the decision-making process for that? Because it makes sense. Whatever they decided, or whatever they discussed in making that decision, it has a human element, an element of compassion, an element of understanding, which tells me a lot about these beings. They're not just opportunists. They're not just, brain dead. There is a level of intelligence and thought that goes behind all of this. Interesting. I was here a few months back, and I was down by the river setting up the camera on the tripod ready to do some talking, and up on the ridge behind me I heard some movement. I quickly turned around and there was a great big white stag. Now that's obviously rare to see any animal with that genetic malfunction. Anything that's albino, I don't think it was albino, which is weird. It didn't have like red eyes, it wasn't anything like that. It was just really white, like snow, and it had these great big antlers. So yeah, very rare, and also very lucky to have seen that. But it did make me think, for as rare as that is, I saw it. I was here in the right place at the right time and I saw it. Now there's two ways of looking at that. You could say, well, that's what you get when you get out here into these areas. You increase your chances of making a discovery like that. Or you could say, for as rare as that is, I still saw it. And so for me to have seen a white stag, but yeah, I've still never seen anything that resembles a cryptid. That really puts it into perspective. That makes you think, if you're able to come out here and see that wandering through here, on the off chance that it never picked me up on the wind, then why haven't I seen anything else? That's not me saying that they don't exist. That's not me trying to debunk these cryptids. But I really want to see one. It might take me years, it might never happen, but as I just said, unless you get out into these places and you are here, boots on the ground, you'll never see one. So I have to keep doing this and just keep the faith. Understand that these things take time. Sometimes they don't pay off, sometimes they do. Hello. You're beautiful. Lily, stop. You're beautiful. That scared me. I just took my cap off, completely forgetting that I had the head torch on. So when I took the cap off, the head torch had gone rolling in front of me. I was like, what the hell? Someone just thrown something. So yeah, note to self, don't forget to pick that up when I move. I'm just sitting here on the forest floor, guys. As you can tell now by the quality of the video footage, it is completely dark, and yeah, I'm just one guy with my iPhone out here filming, for anyone that doesn't know. And I've got my torch, that's my only light source. So there's nothing I can really do, you know, I'm not a big production company with a team full of people carrying external light sources around for me and getting the best angles. It literally just is me, sat out here on the forest floor talking to you lovely people. And that's how I enjoy it. I enjoy doing it that way. I don't like to overcomplicate things. I would like a drone. I used to have a drone back in the early days, and I really do think that the footage a drone can offer really adds a different element, like a different layer to this kind of creepy content. It's also nice as well, you know, when you go really high up in the drone and you can oversee a larger area than actually getting that area covered on foot. It's nice, it's good to have that ability. The temperature is about 18 degrees, so it's still quite hot, still quite humid. And I've got a horrible feeling that I'm not going to sleep at all tonight. I'm not sure why, maybe just because it is so warm, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm just going through that phase, that period where you sit and you think about some of the stories that have come out of these areas. And I know people will say you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't take your mind there because you're only going to scare yourself. And Lily, come. Lily, come. Good girl, stay. Lie down. Lie down. As I was saying that, you shouldn't really take your mind there because you can scare yourself quite easily. there was two very weird, I don't know, like weird rumbles. I'm gonna have to listen back on the footage and see what I can hear, but it sounded like, I don't even want to impersonate it because I'll make a fool of myself, but it was weird. I haven't heard it since, so thankfully whatever it was has maybe passed. But if that was an animal, I've never heard an animal like that. Yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna have to listen back on the footage. But anyway, because the content or the quality of the content is getting so bad now due to the light situation, and I want to try to save some of the battery on my torch for obvious reasons, I'm gonna call it night, guys. Wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is, however you're watching this, whatever you're up to, please do look after yourselves. And if you are in a position to do so, then please do look after somebody else as well. You guys are awesome as always. Oh, before we go, subscribe to the channel, and the big one for me as well, if you can, with like-minded friends and family, please bring them over to the 401 files, because I want to try and get as many people across here as humanly possible. Sorry, as I'm speaking, Lily's like this and it freaks me out, so I'm just trying to keep my eye on her because I can't see in front of me. Obviously the torch is blinding my night vision. I just know there's a full forest that lays ahead for miles and miles in front of me. So yeah, you guys take it easy, look after yourself, and we'll be back again for the next video to talk about more creepy things. I've got another full length, long version type video that you guys love, so yeah, look out for that one. In between that, I'll be breaking the content up with some smaller talking videos, maybe share a few of my thoughts and opinions as well. So yeah, have a good night, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.